From the top to the bottom, at the core, I forgot in the middle of my thoughts.
What's good, YouTube? Your boy 21 here, bringing guys another episode of today. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the 5 things I've learned in my life from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, I decided to make this video because I watched one of my favorite fitness YouTubers called Team 3D Alpha, and he was doing this segment on his channel talking about the 5 things Pokemon taught him in life, and he was talking about how Ash was on a journey and etc. And I'm like, that's a good idea, and I learned a lot from Yu-Gi-Oh! And things I can apply to life. So what I'm going to discuss right now is 5 things I've learned from Yu-Gi-Oh! That applies to real life. I wrote them down. So starting off, I'm going to say understanding trends, because in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever since day one, since I started going to locals and regional, etc., you have to know what's hot. You have to know what cards are trending, because once you find out what's trending, that's how you know to apply yourself to the meta. Now, how this applies to the real world for me, understanding what's popular within fashion, what are people wearing, what might be hot later on in the future. Like, for example, this white Adidas hoodie I'm wearing. This is something that when I first bought it wasn't trending like that. Fitness is one of those things that everyone don't really care about, but this is a nice little fitness jacket, and a lot of people haven't really seen it. So once I bought it, I put it on, I started getting a lot of looks, a lot of attention. People started to notice it. And it's like I started following trends and applying it to the meta of the world of fashion and getting girls, females, etc. So I learned how to apply my knowledge from Yu-Gi-Oh! By understanding trends, learning what's hot, how to be one step ahead of people, and I applied it in real life. So number 1 thing was understanding trends. My number 2 thing I learned from Yu-Gi-Oh! that applies to real life is networking. Yes, the importance of networking is so important in today's society. Like, if you really don't network, you're not going to get nowhere unless you're just filthy rich or have good connections. And once again, good connections is networking. And same thing applies to Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're just a lone player who likes to play competitively and likes to go to events, you got to network your ass off to be able to get a ride to a YCS, unless you have a card, and that's a different story. But if you're a player like me who don't have a lot of money like that, you got to network your ass to make friends, to help you get rides to events. You got to network to get trades because you might not be able to afford them. Then you got to network to get in cool with the right people for the YouTube thing. Like, honestly, if I didn't try to network with Robbie, if I didn't try to network with Team APS, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Galactic God, a lot of you guys probably would have not been on this channel. So networking is keen to real life, and networking is damn sure keen in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! So the number 2 thing I learned from you playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Is networking. Number 3, hustle skills. And I say hustle skills because, once upon a time I was one of those quote-unquote Yu-Gi-Oh! Hustlers. I try to go to locals, make a quick buck, rip people off, and etc. Yes, I said it, rip people off. And I'm just going to be real with you guys. If you're not ripping nobody off, you're not really playing the hustle game with Yu-Gi-Oh! Some people might sugarcoat it in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community, but I'm not going to sugarcoat, I'm not going to bullshit you. Everyone hustles, everyone rips people off, from vendors to your best friends to who you think are your friends. So, I learned how to hustle people and, hustle things, and how that applies to real life. Like, for example, at my retail job, I used to work at Skechers. I used to be able to hustle shoes and sell shoes like crazy. I used to be able to tell by the psychological standpoint on who's going to want to buy, who's not going to want to buy, who's going to be conservative. And those are skills I learned in Yu-Gi-Oh! Knowing, okay, this person's doing this person's nodding their head that certain way. That means they're trying to be conservative, which overall says that they don't want to buy. Or this person's going to do this, that means they're going to fold. So I learned a lot from Yu-Gi-Oh! And the hustling thing, and that helped me in my retail life. And if I get another retail job in the distant future, like a phone job, it'll help me in that too. And it also will help you in the outside of retail world. And if you like trying to buy a car, maybe they'll talk somebody down for trading cars, trading stock, etc. So number 3, something I learned, hustle skills. Number 4, I learned from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Also how scummy people in this world can really be. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game all about trading, having fun, and honestly, it opens up a lot of nostalgia from my childhood. And when you meet people of similar interests, you think they're going to be people how they were in your childhood. Everyone's all nice and fuzzy and stuff. Then you realize how scummy people really are. Everyone's trying to come up. Everyone just think they're better than you. Some people might not even like you. Some people try to cheat you. just to get that win. And honestly, that's just not cool in my opinion. Like I really don't like scummy people. And that's something you deal with in the real world too. You might have that asshole at work that think he's better than you and try to downshoot you to the boss. You might have that guy at school that think he's the shit. The list can go on. So by playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I've learned how to deal with my environment of scummy people by just ignoring them, honestly. And that's just the best life lesson I've gotten out of Yu-Gi-Oh, knowing how to deal with scummy people. So number four thing I learned in Yu-Gi-Oh, the amount of scummy people in the world is ridiculous. And last but not least, the fifth thing I learned from playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and that applies to the real world, is respect is earned, it is damn sure not given. And honestly, growing up as a kid, especially in America, we're all taught to respect our elders, to respect this person, respect that person. But a lot of us aren't really taught, well, at least for me, I wasn't really taught that respect is earned. And, when you start off, for me, being a competitive player, you start off going to a new locals. No one really knows who you are. Even if you try to become friends with some people, they might not even want to fuck with you like that because they think you're a scrub. So you got to show them through beating their ass in the tournament, topping events, and keeping a humble attitude to earn their respect. You can't just go up in there, okay, I know I'm skilled. You can't just go up in there expecting everyone to respect you because you're nice. Yeah, they respect you because you're nice, but if you're not getting the respect of, okay, that's a known player, I got to respect him, it ain't worth nothing. Because for me personally, that's what I wanted when I transitioned from my Naruto world to Yu-Gi-Oh. I came from Naruto being a competitively good known player to going to Yu-Gi-Oh being a scrub, and I had earned a little respect I have. So that applies to the real world too, because if you go for a job, especially starting off as a scrub, no one knows who you is, no one knows how good you are at the job. So you got to earn their respect. You got to earn your boss's respect. Now some bosses are a little hard to deal with, and that's understandable because I have a boss like that right now that's hard to deal with. But sometimes outside of asshole bosses, when you go to real good corporation jobs, you can't just barge in there. Think even if knowing you're better than the next man, you gotta are going there with a head held up high and earn everyone's respect by doing hard work. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are my five things I learned from playing Yu-Gi-Oh that applies to the real world. And honestly, this is why I'm so passionate for the game because, honestly, if it wasn't for Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't know where my life would be. I don't know if I'll be better or worse, but I can honestly say Yu-Gi-Oh has taught me a lot. So with that being said, I want you guys to comment down in the comment section below five things Yu-Gi-Oh have taught you guys and how they apply it to real life. All right, this is Yoba21 with five things Yu-Gi-Oh have taught me in life, and I'm out. Deuces. Have a good day.